at grown-up bearded men spending the day discussing soccer. When the world is in flames and you talking soccer, here are real men transforming the world.
In that region is controlled by extremist organizations. So their sovereignty is already threatened by their shared objectives. And we want to help them because if Burkina Faso wins against terrorism, all the bordering countries win as well.
We were not there when Thomas Sankara was gunned down on the 15th of October 1987 in a coup that smelled of foreign hands. We were not there when Kwame Nkrumah was overthrown in 1966, exiled and silenced while his dreams for Africa were crushed. We were not there even in 2011 when Muammar Gaddafi was hunted down and murdered after NATO and USA rained bombs on Libya. We were very small, but now we are here and we see the same moves being made against Captain Ibrahim Traore. And we see the propaganda, we hear the whispers. This time around, we are not going to allow history to repeat itself again. Africa is awake now and we are watching.
They invaded our lands, stole our architecture, took our people to their land to build. We will take back what's ours.
Yeah, this is Jeanetta, and it is a fantastic day. I got something for you, honey, because they are trying to burn up. But I'm gonna let you know that the battle is the giant and the midget, or the giant and the elf, or whatever. Well, let's just say United States is supposed to be the giant, and the elf is Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traore. Look, let me give you some history. There's some history about that. I want you to know there is some history. Just because you're bigger, just because you got planes and trains and buses and bombs, it makes no difference. Because let me tell you something. The only reason why they beat Japan was because of the fact that they bombed it. They ain't gonna bomb you. They're not gonna bomb Burkina Faso. They're not gonna take a bomb and bomb Burkina Faso. You understand what I'm saying? First of all, before they bombed Japan, they put all the Japanese that were in the United States, they put them in a prison camp. Yeah, they put them in a prison camp. Now, can you imagine them gathering up all the black folks, all the Africans, and putting them in a prison camp in Nigeria, in the United States? First of all, you got doctors. You got doctors that are very important. You got medical staff. The United States will suffer. Woo. Okay, let me say this. Let me cool down. Because the things that are happening in Burkina Faso, it's funny though. There are rulers that have been ruling in Africa, or dictators that have been in Africa and have been ruling without any problems about being bombed or mistreated by the United States or even talked about. We don't even hear about them. And this is supposed to be democracy, right? Well, hey, how can you be a democracy that every time the people vote, they got to vote for you? They got to vote for the same person, or either they get killed. Look at what's going on in Tanzania right now and some of the other places. That is democracy. You either vote for who's in office right now or you're in trouble. Yeah. Well, let me calm down a little bit. I'm going to just try to hold it down a little bit. But let me just explain something to you. The United States has not won one conflict against these small countries, but didn't have the weapons that they have. And the United States have been fighting Russia for the longest. We fought Russia in Vietnam. We fought Russia in Korea. We fought after Russia. Russia was in Afghanistan, left Afghanistan, and told the United States there's nowhere in the world you can win in Afghanistan. Russia stayed in Afghanistan for a lot of years. They had to go back home. They were defeated. And it's not the It's not the one that got the biggest guns. Trump, what Trump say? They've gotten some airplanes where these airplanes are so dynamic, they cost $1 trillion. You can't get health care, but their airplane costs $1 trillion because they are trying to keep, hey, what, are we stupid? They are trying to keep the communists, or we're trying to keep our shores safe. So that's why we have bombing everybody. But isn't it funny that every time they're trying to keep our shores safe, that they got to get the oil from these people? They got it. BlackRock is called. All these people, the Defense Department, and if you want to make some money in the United States, you invest in the bombs and everything. You invest with those companies that make the weapons and make the military clothes and the boots and all that. And the caskets and the body bags. You need to put your investment in those companies. Look them up. Because those are the ones that are making the money from these wars. And those are the people who don't have to pay any taxes. They ain't not even paying for them. We paying for them. Okay, how big of a fool do you think we are? Don't listen to this, Africa. I don't want you to listen to this because I don't want you to, yeah. But we have been a big fool in the United States of America. Now you're going to tell me that they're going to come over here and burden share. That's what the general language said. They're going to burden share. They're so interested in what's going on in Burkina Faso that they're going to try to help out because Burkina Faso is losing because of the terrorists on the outside that they are funding. They're funding them. The terrorists on the outside that's defeating Burkina Faso. They're not going to defeat Burkina Faso.
Africa is a mineral-rich, resource-rich continent. Is that correct?
Yes, Chairman.
Okay.
Chair Langley, can you talk about why we care about what's happening in Africa right now? Why are we spending the money we're spending there?
For access and influence.
They're not going to do it. So General Langley, he's been going all over. He was in Kenya just a while ago. And he was doing that military gobbledygook language where you don't really know what he said. But he's trying to say something, trying to cover his CYA. You know what I mean?
Rule rather than for public welfare. These remarks sparked widespread, condemnation across the continent. What did you mean by that statement?
Let me speak to Burkina Faso's sovereignty. They maintain their sovereignty. They make their decisions how they use their resources. They make their decisions who their resources go to for military support. That's their sovereign right. But my cautionary tale was just from a military perspective. That was a Senate Armed Services Committee asking me a direct question. Burkina Faso, a lot of great things going on to progress them forward, okay? But then when you look at the military part of it, knowing that that's the epicenter of global terrorism, it was my time to illuminate that this is probably their weakest point, and there needs to be sufficient resources going towards for the whole fight of terrorism in that country.
Because he wasn't talking to us, he was talking to his leaders, because he got to watch it, because he'll lose. He'll lose because of that. Because he got to keep up the front. He can't come and say, I made a mistake, I'm sorry. No, he can't do that. He got to keep point that that's very interesting. They can't keep the gangsters off the street in Memphis or Chicago and all the other places. And they can't keep people from going in schools, shooting everybody. But they can come all the way over here to Africa and go to other countries and control that for them. Help them out. They're going to burden share. Can you imagine the burden share that they're burden sharing to protect the people of Burkina Faso and the people of Niger and the people of Mali? love their people so much. They care for them. And they have to do this, because if they don't, then those insurgents, then those people will come, Al-Qaeda and all them people will come in, and next thing you know, they'll be on the American shores. Who are you kidding? Have we heard them lies before? Do you keep on believing them? Do you keep on believing this stuff? I want to know. You keep on believing it. When I was working for the government, I worked for Arms Control Disarmament Agency. Those are the ones that help test the weapons that we're going to buy from these crooks. Well, let me tell you something. The military officers used to play hawk and dove. I think they considered Vietnam as the dove and they were the hawk. Well, it kind of turned around because Vietnam whooped our ass and sent us out of there.
In 1955, during the war between Vietnam and America, America decided that there shouldn't be a country called Vietnam by sunrise. They sent many ships to Vietnam in the middle of the night. However, even after the next day, those ships didn't return. America became scared and tried sending more ships, but there was no response. Despite being a small country, Vietnam resisted, and the world started to question America's power. Unable to bear the criticism, America directly entered Vietnam. Upon entering, they discovered that all the weapons and ships they had sent were destroyed, and Vietnam was now ready to attack back. Yes, Vietnam won that war. When the world asked Vietnam how they defeated America with such small forces, do you know what the president of Vietnam said? Have you noticed the face of a person in the statues in many cities of our country? We won against America by studying the history of his strategies. Do you know who that person is? Chhatrapati Shivaji, who ruled India. If that king were with us, we would have ruled the world.
And now we're back in Vietnam, and they haven't changed from being communists. And we're building Vietnam. We got business investments in Vietnam. Please. Oh, I'm getting hyper. Well, anyway, in Vietnam. Yeah. But your tax dollar. Your tax dollar. I want you to listen, because see, some of you young people are young, and you heard of the Vietnam War, you heard of the Gulf War, you heard of these things, but you didn't hear it the way it was. So what I've gotten together is some clippings that you can actually see what I'm talking about. So this is to my brother Ibrahim. Ibrahim, don't worry about them. They got a certain playbook that they play by. And you study that playbook, how they rig things up, because they don't change. The playbook is this. They first degrade the leader that is trying to lead the country and out of harm into safety, out of poverty into progress. They first demonize him. Then after they get through demonizing him and tearing up the country, and turning the people in the country against him, then they come in. That's when they fight. But we got a bunch of chicken people in the government over here in Africa. They scared of dying. You're going to die anyway. You're going to die anyway. If you had a cancer and they said that you got 50% chance to live if they operate, how many of you people gonna get the operation? Well, hey, we got a cancer. And that cancer is this colonialism, neo-colonialism, and this control, treating us like we some kind of kids. We got to ask them for help. You know, I think it was Trump that just said we so need his help so bad that we're standing in line just to kiss his, you know what? Yeah, he has a habit of saying those kind of things.
In the history of our country. And don't let some of these politicians go around saying, you know, because I'm telling you, these countries are calling us up, kissing my ass. They are dying to make a deal. Please, sir, make a deal. I'll do anything. I'll do anything, sir. And then I'll see some rebel Republican, you know, some guy that wants to grandstand, say, I think that Congress should take over negotiations. Let me tell you, you don't negotiate like I negotiate.
It is not impossible for us to win. We got to just keep doing it. Because you know what? They need us in order to have them build those planes. They need us in order to do a whole bunch of stuff. They need us. They got to come over here and get it. They didn't need Vietnam. They didn't need Korea. They didn't need all these countries that they didn't win at. Korea, they still in Korea. 1955. And North Korea is still communist. And South Korea has the burden of having American military troop inside their country for years. 1955. Afghanistan wrapped it up, left your money out there in the fields of Afghanistan, in the mountains of Afghanistan, and they left all that equipment for those people. What do they call them? I call them insurgents. What do they call them? Yeah, those people. Those people that are causing havoc in all these countries. They don't belong to a country. They're just Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and JMN, and whatever the name they get, initials they got. Because their army, have you realized that their army is bigger? The only thing is, look at Syria. They turned Syria over to a guy that's an Al-Qaeda guy. Can you imagine? The very people we're fighting, now Trump turned Syria over to them because got bombing in Syria. They keep bombing Syria to get that guy that was a president of Syria out of that country. Bombing them. Then they go in there and get the gold. They get not gold but oil. The same way where they did Libya. Woo-hoo! Libya had houses. They had medical care. They had money in the bank. They had freedom to walk around and do. And yeah, their president, Gaddafi, was not an angel, but hey, he was not the devil neither. But look at Libya right now today. They're broke, they're poor, and they're still fighting and don't have anything.
The world's terrorists are the United States. Look what we did to Iraq. Look what we did to Libya. Libya, the most successful country in all of Africa. The guy created the eighth wonder of the world with the way how he delivered water and turned deserts into farmland. And everybody had a house and everybody had education and healthcare. And we turned it into a failed state run by terrorists with open slave markets. Who did that? Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton did that. And they'll never have to pay a price for that. Barack Obama, the most they'll do is go, that was a mistake.
Why did they get rid of Gaddafi?
Because he was going to start a currency of Africa that was going to compete with the U.S. dollar and the euro. And they can't have that because the way the United States controls the world is because the United States dollar is the reserve currency of the world. So that's why they can put sanctions on all these countries. And so what they're doing, which they shouldn't do, they're weaponizing the U.S. dollar. And so like when countries want to trade with each other, they have to go take their currency, change it into U.S. dollars so they can trade. And a lot of it was based on the petrodollar, which, by the way, Saudi Arabia just quit. They didn't renew it. I don't know if you heard about that.
Yeah, I did hear about that.
So, and all of a sudden, CBS News is starting to do news stories about how Saudi Arabia was involved in 9/11. All of a sudden, 24 years later, all of a sudden, oh, you know what? Turns out there was something happened with it. And they're like, you mean 2 weeks after they decided to not renew the petrodollar? Now CBS News is allowed to talk about that and investigate it, which when I talked about it, got demonetized. But anyway, that's why, because Gaddafi was doing that. He was going to set up a currency for all of Africa, and it was going to be based on, have a gold standard. And so they're like, no, you're not.
So don't tell me. I mean, Abraham, don't you worry about them people. Burkina Faso, don't you worry. Niger, don't you worry. Mali, don't you worry. If the other people want to stay and hang and be a duck and hide and carry on this same kind of crap, you young people, don't you let them. Don't you let them do it. It's a matter of your survival. It's a matter of your children's survival. And we have taken enough. I'm going to give you some examples. I'm signing out. I ain't gonna talk. Hey, I'm finished. Let me tell you something. I'm finished. We win. We win. We win. We cannot lose with the stuff we use. You can't do it. Let the spirit of Africa rise up. Rise up. Let Africa rise. All right. This is Jeanetta. Share this video. Talk about it. Comment it. Correct me. Do whatever you want. Subscribe. Hey, just let me know something. I feel it in my bones. It's going to happen. All right. Talk to you later. Yeah. Hey, this is Jeanetta, and you're watching Africa Speak.